Hello everybody, welcome back to another Bleach 5e update video. Now for today's video, it's going to be a little bigger than usual as I missed the update. I missed a video for the previous update and hotfixes, which you can see coincidentally is all the ones that are here on the changelog page. I'm going to quickly go over the previous update and hotfixes, and then we'll dive into today's update here. So let's quickly name off of what was happening previously. So on hotfix for January 11th, we fixed various wording across many abilities, fixed Gamished Quincy Halfbreed versatility feature, corrected feat type classifications within some feat descriptions, changed mute Zanpakuto feat, adjusting the wording, buffed improved critical, added another restriction, and buffed brutal edge. Updated requirements for some hollow abilities such as Devil Sight requiring devil creature type, and other hollow abilities and monster abilities like that. Updated spellcasting wording and added the variant spell point info in chapter 6. No need to reference the Dungeon Master's Guide now. Pretty big thing that a lot of people were asking for when it came to this variant spell point system. Added damage progression info in the preface. It's also in the Discord as well in the FAQ. Buffed Draconic Ancestry, buffed Kido Prodigy, changed Monster Within feat, changed Ooze Ancestry feat, clarify that you do in fact turn into an ooze-like creature, changed Specialized Armament, added Mute Zanpakuto as a restriction, buffed Karate Martial Techniques feat, oof, I can't spoke. New feats, Dedicated Warrior, Medley of the Tides, and Alchemical Precision. Dedicated Warrior was a previous feat that was removed until I got it to a point that I thought it was good enough to put back into the book. Similar feat right now, or similar feature is the Shunko. There are previous versions of the book in the archive list in the Google Drive. So if people still want to use, that feat and Shunko, you can go onto the previous book and use it if your Dungeon Master allows it. But at the moment, I didn't think it was very good, so I removed it, and I'm hoping to put it back in as either a class or a feat tree system. I haven't really decided. I'm still kind of working on it here and there, but I'm prioritizing what's currently on the roadmap at the moment. So yeah. Adjusted the Siren Bound tribe for the Bound class, buffed the Shrift feat prerequisite from 16 to 15, adjusted Nakome Soul Absorption, new 11th feature Nachfolger, and moved Inscribed Shrift to level 15 to kind of better fit the current system with the feats. We're kind of updating them to be more like 5.5, so just want to make sure they all kind of align up better that way. And then for updates on May 10th, we've normal stuff there. Blight Cloud clarified duration for the poison condition. Soul Lineage added a language on there, didn't have it before, which is kind of funny. Anticipating Arrow reduced the augment requirement by 1. The Nakoma level 3 soul distribution added a line to clarify you regain your sacrifice power when a fragment is used. Added 10th level Kido SP cost on the SP cost table for the spellcasting in chapter 7. Changed preface to chapter 1 with better structure and info about the new variant rules for the Bleach 5e system. All other chapters numbers increased by 1. Clarified wording with armaments gain armaments gain armament types, not the players. Reworked summoning armament type, new summon abilities, and create a new section for monster abilities, generic and hollow abilities. Clarified these aren't armament types, and adjusted chapter 6 armament abilities to match these changes. So I'm still making some changes and updates to the new summon system, monster abilities, and hollow abilities. At some point, I am going to go back through and update a lot of the hit die requirements for some of the monster abilities and hollow abilities, and probably SP costs and some more wording on some of those. But at the moment, kind of working on other updates, but that is something I will get to as soon as possible. Some hotfixes that happened since then. Updated hollow Rancor sources that yes, they do have access to monster abilities. Fullbringers have limited access to monster abilities. Updated Quincy Spiritual Bow to clarify duration of released form. Added dull feature that states bounce release form. I didn't know that. This is weird that this wasn't in here before. I kind of just noticed it as I was going through some of these updates, and I'm surprised no one pointed this out. Updated wording for soul lineage, Rariku enhancement, racial trait. This was just something with a lot of other abilities, a lot of other races that have Rariku enhancement sort of thing. It was basically like certain races weren't affected by certain things because they weren't technically like they were technically undead, and it was weird creature type thing. Hopefully now with the wording it's a little bit better now, so it makes more sense. Adjusted wording for living armaments, conjure attack feature, and then added legendary action, ascended ability for summons. So those are all the previous updates and hotfixes that have happened. So let's get back into what's currently the update for today. So we have updated Phantom Hold prerequisites, updated Arankar Aspect of Solitude, clarifying where sidekick info can be found, updated Nakome Shekina feature, updated the Exile background, and added the Kuchiki Clan Heir background, updated Bloodied Condition, renamed Ignited Condition to Burning, and updated since the new 5.5 edition has basically the same condition, but they call it Burning, so just to make it the same, kind of just change it and update it as well. Updated the slowed condition, removed partnered condition, updated the broken condition, added multiple weapon property interactions, removed the push weapon property since it became now a weapon mastery, so no needed to have that duplicate. Updated all the influence Fullbringer arts, updated acid form and all other form abilities with new augments, removed SP cost for poison sense, updated dedicated mage and reworked archmage Kido armament abilities. I can see I misspelled that, that's funny. Updated cavalry tribe, renamed the standard bearer to banneret, small rework to spell thief, updated wording and spell list for spellcasting monster ability, updated visored lineage, cleaned up wording and made it more clear they keep the racial traits of the replaced race, weapon mastery armament ability renamed to weapon expert, buff shadow arrow to 1 minute, updated and cleaned up wording on various abilities, removed spell point pool from Nacido and added SP table to Arankar, corrected many grammar misspellings, and then of course updated the page numbers. Before we move on, I need to give my patrons a big shout out for being supporters of me and the project. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for being part of this community at any tier that you're currently at. Thank you guys so much. I'm glad to have you guys here by my side, and I hope to see you guys with me at the finish line when we get this book taken care of and finished. Thank you guys so much. And with that said, let's move on to the video. So we're gonna go down in order, I think, of all of the updates and how they appear. I'm gonna skip over some of the ones that are less impactful or not as big, just to save some time. But right away, like the previous updates, you can see we have Chapter 1, What's New, which states the new game mechanics and terms, lessons from 5.5, and then of course all the other chapters got updated by 1 since, this became a new chapter on here. Here we have an abbreviations guide to help some people that are more newer to D&D or not really familiar with using some of the abbreviations. Got a little small guide here. There is a comprehensive list of abbreviations here from the 5.5 rules, but they're still kind of the same abbreviations that we would be using. All right, next up is the broken condition. As you can see here, it's a little bit more cleaner, and here's what it says now. Broken weapon, you do not add your proficiency bonus to damage rolls made with the weapon, and damage dealt is halved. Armor, the AC becomes 10 plus your dex modifier maximum 1. Shield, a broken shield provides no bonus to AC. Now, other abilities and stuff that talk about what happens when you get the broken condition, like when you use your ultimate ability, that's a separate thing, but this is just the broken condition itself. Of course, here burning has been changed, just to basically match the 5.5 version of it. So it's kind of the same thing, just updated the format in like the bulletin form that's normally found in the 5th edition version. Next up is slowed. This one here, it's a slowed creature can't use reactions. The creature's speed is halved. The creature can't make more than 1 attack each turn. On the creature's turn, they can use either an action or a bonus action, but not both. So most of these features like weakened, disoriented, drain, daze, like those are all like abilities based on different Dragon's Breath weapons that were used in 5th edition that people kind of adopted to be conditions in and of themselves based off of the name of the breath weapon, which is what I did. And slowed was the only one that didn't follow that. So I just updated it to make sure it's kind of the same thing as it. Though it is kind of stepping on the toes a little bit of the shocked feature, so I might update shocked in the future. We'll see about it, but right now I just wanted to make sure the other ones that kind of are already existing are updated to match the existing information that's already in use in the edition. New section here is the multiple weapon property interactions. Kind of just give some clarification on what happens when certain weapon properties and how they interact with each other, which is an issue that's come up a few times. So if a weapon is heavy and gains the light property, since there's a lot of ways to get that, heavy and light will just cancel out. As you can see here, a great axe has a heavy and two-handed properties. If it gains the light property, it cancels out the heavy property and both are removed. The weapon retains the two-handed property. And then if you would gain light again, like the light property again, then it would have the light property. That's the same thing with finesse and two-handed. These are just kind of, I believe, incompatible with each other. They don't really make sense. If a weapon is a finesse weapon, you wouldn't need to be wielding it with two hands. And if a weapon is heavy, it can also have light property as well. If you believe there's other kind of weapon properties that interact or that kind of aren't really incompatible, you can let me know. But honestly, I feel like the other ones are fine. It's really just these that heavy and light, and then finesse and two-handed are really the two that kind of, I believe, are the most incompatible with each other. And then over here we have the master properties from 5.5, just so you don't have to go back and forth to the 5.5 rules to kind of find them. I put them here just so it'll be a little easier to find and have them here. All right, for backgrounds, I updated the information. So we're kind of using a hybrid system of the 5.5 system and the 5th edition system. So here right away you get all the stuff that you would normally get in the 5.5 backgrounds, 2 proficiency, skill proficiency, ability score increases, equipment, and so on. And the biggest difference is the background benefit. A background gives your character a specified feat or feature. And the exile feat, which we'll use here as an example, this here got a full rehaul and re-update. You get the background benefit. You can either gain the alert feat or the former connections feature. So you can choose which one you want to get. Skill proficiencies you gain, 2 proficiencies, equipment, and then just more lore stuff updated here for your reason of banishment. Now, I know most people don't really use the personality traits, ideals, bonds, and flaws that are in 5th edition. Me and my group are probably one of the few that still use it and enjoy it. It just helps with the lore of your character, having a foundation for your background, and just have something to fall back on when, some players kind of get lost and not sure how to roleplay, or they feel like they might be deviating from the character a bit. They can always come back to these and ground themselves and center themselves of what is important to their character. What is their personality trait? What's their ideal? What is their bond, their flaws? Although they can change and, update and grow, this is just something early on to kind of keep yourself on that track of what your character is until certain, RP stuff happens for them to change. And then we have a new background. We have the Kuchi clan heir. Now, this is something I'm hoping to do for some of the other noble houses and minor aristocratic houses as well. But I just want to get kind of a feel for this and see what people think about it. And if this is something they like, and I'll continue doing it, or if I need to kind of update this and fix this, because I don't really want to put in time and effort into the other clans in the same format if nobody liked it. So I want to make sure people like what I'm doing here first before moving on and making some more. So I'm not going to really go through this here just because it's a lot of information. I'll let you guys kind of read through it and see what you guys think about it. And then you guys can let me know what you think about it. But I just kind of wanted to point it out and show it to you. Alrighty, moving on to the Fullbringer arts. As you can see, a lot of these here, the athletic influence, beguiling influence, all of these here weren't as great as others. So I wanted to add a little bit more to them. So as you can see here, they've all been updated for the following. You gain proficiency in the acrobatics and athletic skills. If you are already proficient in either of these skills, you gain expertise in that skill instead. So this kind of just helps out if you already picked up those skills. Now they'll get expertise in those skills. So it kind of just makes these more useful later on in levels, and not something you should just pick up right away, or just something not as good. A lot of people aren't really care about picking up skills, but now that they give you expertise, hopefully these make these Fullbringer arts aren't as useless as kind of they were previously. Alrighty, moving on to Arrancar. As you can see here, I have added a column for the spell points, and I removed it from the Nacido race. Apparently, it was a little too confusing for people to read their race information, and didn't scale as great for the Nacido specifically. So decided, you know what, I'll just move it over here to the spell points section for the Arrancar class, since it's kind of mainly where you're going to be getting your spell points from everywhere else. So just decided to do that instead. Hopefully it's a lot easier and less confusing moving forward, but not pretty small change, but a little hopefully for more clarity and help out some more people, so it's less confusing. All right, next up is the Cavalry tribe. Specifically here we have the Banneret, which was the standard bearer, just got renamed, and they got a little bit of update, and the rest of the class did as well, since a lot of the stuff was centered around the partnered condition / mechanic. I think it was a little out there. I tried something new. It didn't seem to work very well, in my opinion. Didn't think it was that good, but I wanted to try something out. Maybe I'll come back to that kind of mechanic later on, or in some more specific avenue. But so I update all this, remove that mechanic. A lot of these abilities don't really matter now with that mechanic, so they all kind of got changed a bit. So you're not too railroaded in a very specific type build. So kind of just got updated. So let me know what you guys think about it, if it's better, or if you like that mechanic. I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. Next up is the Stealth Thief tribe. This was one of the classes or subclasses that are pretty hard to play and were hard to understand. I don't really want to have a lot of those. I want to try to make them as simple as possible. It's reading comprehension can be a little difficult for some people, and some mechanics can be a little too over the top in complexity. So just want to make sure I can get them as easy to understand as possible. So I kind of changed it all up, based it a lot on the updated Arcane Trickster that is in 5.5, mainly with like the final ability, which it was called Spell Thief, but I kind of renamed it to what it was called back in like the 3rd edition version of this kind of class, what it's based off of, to absorb spell. But I kind of updated all the information on here, so hopefully it's a little easier to understand, more clear, and not as complex as it was before. Definitely was a lot more wordy as well, so hopefully now you guys can take a look at it and let me know what you guys think, if it's a lot better now. All right, moving on to the form abilities. So as you can see here, we have the acid armament, we have acid form, and there's a bunch of other ones like fire has the fire form, whatever. All of that got updated here. So now we're gonna read on what it does now. Your armament becomes pure acid. When you release, you may choose to have this ability become active until sealed. While active, your armament's base damage type is changed to acid damage, and you benefit from this ability's augments. If you choose not to activate this ability when you release, you can activate it as a bonus action while released. While active, you can dismiss it as a bonus action. If you have a summon, you may have this ability applied to its weapons as well. And then the augments we have now are Corrode Object. Your acid deals double damage to objects and structures. Ooh, too early in the morning right now. Splashing Acid, your armament gains the explosive weapon property. Malleable Acid, at the start of each of your turns, choose one of the following benefits until the start of your next turn. Your armament gains the finesse property, the light property, the reach property, or you can use the mastery property of your armament. Viscous Acid, once per turn when you deal acid damage with your armament, you can cause the target to gain no benefit from bonuses to its speed and be unable to take the dash action until the start of your next turn. Now, I wanted to update it since a lot of people didn't really use the acid form abilities or like them as much, just because you had to use SP, the action economy kind of wasn't in your favor to just kind of change the damage type. So I decided to change that as well. So it's a lot better now, and hopefully a little bit more useful. And then we have a lot of, I think, more unique kind of augments as well. Malleable asset, all the augments, all these form abilities are going to have something similar to this. Something I might change and rearrange later on in the future, but I kind of just wanted to give more options for people to have different builds. As you can see, it has like finesse and light, just to kind of have people have access to certain builds that they don't need to dip into the weapon armament, though without kind of stepping on the toes of the weapon armament as well. A lot of other different kind of things are kind of still tied and unique to that armament type, but some other things, decided something like finesse and light, I think, can be outside of that armament type for others. So you can have your finesse builds, your dual wielding builds if you're light property, just so it's a little bit, a little easier on when you're picking your abilities. Also, forgot to mention, I don't think I put it in the changelog as well. For these abilities as well, the master abilities, when you cast Kido that deals elemental damage, you can change it to acid damage. This used to have like an SP cost on it. Most of them have been removed. Some of them still have an SP cost on them for like the stronger damage types that don't really have a lot of monsters with resistance to them, like force, I believe psychic as well. But most of them, like the elemental ones, I just removed the SP requirements for them. So you're spending less SP and you can hopefully use these a lot more. And it's just a little bit better as well. And speaking of weapon armaments, here we have their weapon form here that got changed as well. And then the weapon expert's armament ability, which used to be called weapon mastery, but since we have the mastery weapon properties, and didn't want to make it confusing, so decided to change the name. All right, moving on to one of the bigger updates is for the Kido armament type. We have the dedicated mage ability. It's basically these here, the abjuration, conjuration, illusion, all this stuff got updates to more of the newer stuff that's in 5.5, and then just kind of better, two abilities that better encapsulate what the different schools are, like of abjuration, conjuration, divination, and then as well with the where to go, the archmage one here, since these were kind of a little too similar and didn't really match their power levels, so they kind of got changed. So hopefully these kind of match their strength of being ascended abilities and are a little not too similar to what was previously in the dedicated mage area. So they kind of stack better and they're more unique. So that's kind of the last final big changes that were done. All right, everyone, that quickly goes over the updates for today. Now, I didn't go over every single little update since most of them, weren't that big of a deal to talk about in a video. But I did want to go over the current changelog and the information that we're currently at right now, or where we're at in regards to the roadmap, which I'll pull over in just a second. We have quite a bit of the roadmap done. We have left over finished chapter 1, story of Bleach. We got finished chapter 3, planes of Bleach, the oppression armament rework, additional backgrounds, finished chapter 8, friends and foes, and then update chapter 7 for equipment. Right now, for the next update, it's going to be the oppression armament rework, and most likely the generic abilities rework as well. I want to do those at the same time. Obviously, I've already done a new background and updated the current one, but I wouldn't consider this portion complete, as I want to add in, at least 4 more backgrounds, at least all the noble houses for sure, and then maybe some additional ones, but those I do want to for sure have those in the book at a minimum. And then I could also maybe update some of the existing backgrounds that are existing in 5th edition or 5.5 to kind of better match the aesthetic and tone of Bleach. That is something I could do as well. But for sure, I want to do the noble houses as options. And then once we're done with that, we're gonna do all the other kind of other stuff like chapter 1 story of Bleach, chapter 3 story of Bleach, chapter 3 planes of Bleach. And these sections would most likely be geared towards the dungeon masters to have more information about Bleach, information about the planes and what kind of you can find there, what you can do, a lot of that stuff there. I mean, if needed, I can kind of just make chapter 3 pretty brief and small and do like a separate document, kind of like how D&D did with like some like setting books, like kind of like Spelljammer and stuff like that, you know, more specific to those, like Planescape thing, like Spelljammer, maybe even like Strixhaven, where it kind of talks about different places and, you know, stuff like that. That's something I'm definitely interested in doing. And then after that, we're going to be finishing chapter 8. Now, chapter 8, this has been getting put off a lot. A lot of those updates are being done. The monster stat blocks are in the Patreon, which you guys can go over and subscribe if you want to support this project and some other stuff I want to do in the future. But once I kind of get to a point where I like the stat blocks and they're in a good spot, I'll start adding them over to the book. Of course, I'll add a minimum amount. So we did a previous poll about those. So that is definitely something that I'm going to be paying attention to and following on that poll that we did. And then, of course, chapter 7 equipment, probably like the last thing. A lot of people weren't very interested in that getting updated very soon, since, you know, there's not a lot of equipment used in Bleach, only like early on. Did we ever see really anything used, like that weird wing thing that Ichigo used to fly with when he saved Rukia, or when the captains used that weird Shihoan shield or whatever? You know, we don't really see a lot of those stuff. So I agree that it's also not really a big priority. Some other stuff that I definitely want to do is at some point thinking about updating the book completely over to 5.5. That might be something that I'll do later on in the future, but I kind of want to finish all of this stuff on the roadmap first before I think about doing that. I mean, we're in a like weird in between at the moment. I would say we're kind of like in a 5.2 kind of version of 5th edition in regards to this book, on how we're using some of the 5.5 stuff, mainly the 5.0 stuff. So I would say we're in a 5.2, 5.3 area between the two. But at some point, that is something that, as 5.5 gets more popular, I might, you know, kind of transition it over, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there, once all these updates are kind of done. Other thoughts as well is, at some point using the Patreon funds, I definitely want to commission a unique Bleach 5e cover page here for us, and then hopefully some art pieces as well. I know that's something I've talked about in the past, but we had a smaller community then, and we're much larger now. So hopefully some other people that have joined since then hear this and are interested in either contributing their art or are aware of some people or places I can go to for that. But that is something that I want to do at some point. And then, as well as updating kind of the style of it. This is kind of the style that we see. Not even looking at the, whoops, hold on. There we go. Sorry about that. I definitely want to update, like I said, the cover of it. This page, this image here has helped us and stuck with us for a long time, but you know, at some point things need to change and update. So that is something I want to do at some point. And then, as well as I was saying, the style of the book itself, like here, this fonts, the color scheme, all this stuff here, the background, this is all the usual 5.5 fantasy stuff that's used. But I think for this specific setting for Bleach, which is a little bit more modern, I'm thinking of updating it. Kind of a theme I was working on is, if you go over to the Patreon and you look at the Esper subclass that's exclusive to Patreon, there I have a new font, new background, new kind of style. That's something I've been working on. So maybe that's something people can look at and see if they're interested, or if they like that to be kind of the new theme for the book at some point in the future. Still working on it. There's still a few weird things about it that I don't know how to fix, like the letters. There's like some weird like spacing in between the letters themselves. It's really weird. If you looked at it, if you go look at it, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's super weird. I don't know what's up with that. But yeah, I have a lot of other thoughts, a lot of stuff that I want to do, more changes I want to do as well, updates, but I just kind of want to work on the roadmap first at the moment. So yep, that's going to be it for this video. Thank you guys so much for sticking with me. Thank you guys so much for enjoying the book, giving me your kind words of how much fun you guys are having. I love seeing all the chatter and commotion in the LFG channel and people finding campaigns and having a good time with them. I also love hearing people's adventures and mishaps that have happened in their campaigns. That's also something I love hearing all the time from people. So, don't be afraid to kind of post all the wacky stuff that has happened in your campaigns. It's always fun to hear them, or weird interactions as well with certain abilities or any kind of stuff like that. You can always post them and ask about those as well. That's it. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you in the next update.